Here's something that surprises a lot of people, especially beginner bakers. Adding more baking powder will not make your cake rise higher. In fact, using too much baking powder is one of the fastest ways to ruin an otherwise perfect cake. Because baking powder is a chemical leavening agent. Its job is to produce carbon dioxide gas when it comes into contact with moisture and heat. Those tiny gas bubbles expand inside the batter, lifting it and giving your cake that soft, light, fluffy texture. But here's the important part: baking powder only works properly when it is used in the right amount. Many people think if 1 teaspoon makes my cake rise, then 2 or 3 teaspoons added will make it to rise even more. Unfortunately, that's not how baking works. Baking is chemistry, not guesswork. When you add too much baking powder, it releases too much gas too quickly. The cake rises very fast while it's still soft and weak on the inside. At first, you may be excited because your cake looks tall and beautiful in the oven, but that quick rise is actually a problem. Before the cake has enough time to build a strong structure, the air bubbles become too large and unstable. As the cake cools, or even before it's fully baked, those bubbles collapse. The result is a cake that sinks in the middle, falls around the edges, or shrinks after you take it out of the oven. So instead of getting a taller cake, you end up with a flatter one. Using too much baking powder doesn't just affect the height, it also changes the texture. Rather than having a fine, soft, even crumb, the cake may become coarse, crumbly, dry, or full of large holes. It can break apart easily when sliced and may not hold frosting well because the structure is weak. Another thing many people don't realize is that excess baking powder can affect the taste. If you have ever tasted a cake that had a strange bitter, metallic, or slightly soapy flavor, too much baking powder could be the reason. Even if the cake looks good, that unpleasant aftertaste can ruin the entire eating experience. Professional bakers don't get beautifully risen cakes by adding extra baking powder. They focus on balance. They measure ingredients accurately, cream the butter and sugar properly to trap air, avoid overmixing the batter, use the correct pan size, and bake at the right oven temperature. All those factors work together to help the cake rise naturally and stable. So the next time you are tempted to add an extra spoon of baking powder because you want a bigger cake, don't do it.